come to you as a graduate student, but also as a public school teacher of 14 plus years. My purpose as an educator is to support my students in becoming independent critical thinkers who love learning and thrive as engaged global citizens in our ever changing world. Yet my purpose and that of my colleagues has been continually restricted by the single most important accountability metric of mainstream public education: multiple choice high stakes testing. These tests determine pretty much every aspect of the educational experience of K 12 public school students. In particular, what curriculum and when it is taught, what access they have to advanced placement classes, whether or not they're forced into remedial classes, and whether or not they have access to enrichment or elective classes. On average, public school students will take 112 high stakes standardized tests throughout the course of their K 12 education, sometimes up to 30 tests per year, therefore spending approximately 16 hours per week doing multiple choice testing or multiple choice test prep. Yet these tests provide zero evidence of the type of learning we value most in an educated individual, specifically independent critical thinking, creativity, 21st century skills, and civic engagement. High stakes tests were originally codified by proponents of eugenics and have continued to sustain achievement gaps based on socioeconomic status. Instead of measuring the depth of learning and knowledge of our diverse student body and supporting the type of inquiry and problem solving that would empower students to uplift themselves as democratically engaged members of the community, this approach has served to track students and exclude them from opportunities. Fortunately, alternatives to the testing movement exist in small school networks in the United States, like the New York Performance Standards Consortium, and in the top performing school systems internationally, in Singapore, Finland, Australia, Canada, and Shanghai. These systems have transitioned to an assessment approach called performance-based assessments, which is based on project-based learning and open-ended investigations. Much like a PhD dissertation, high school students engaged in these programs do in-depth studies in all core content areas and present their findings in front of a board of educators, peers, and community members. Examples of studies students often perform include science experiments, mathematical models, historical or analytical reports, art projects, and reflective essays on an internship experience. These projects are standard aligned, student centered, and drive a curriculum that values students' passions, cultural backgrounds, and unique skill sets through hands on experiential learning, critical thinking, and civic engagement. I believe strongly that we need this approach in all of our public schools so that we can improve equity and 21st century skills and civic engagement for all students.